President Assad says national security is a red line which nobody is allowed to cross. A sit-in by reporters and mass media men in condemnation of the Arab League's resolution to stop Syrian satellite channels from transmitting through satellites. 22 killed and 65 others are wounded in the explosion of a suicide booby-trapped car in central Baghdad. Good afternoon, this is news in English from the Syrian Arab television in Damascus. President Bashar al-Assad asserted that the critical circumstances around us call for more daring steadfastness and sense of responsibility. In his speech in the People's Assembly, the President called upon members to carry out the legislative and monitoring tasks on the basis of clear vision. Syria needs the efforts of those who work for constructive dialogue. The President said the Syrian people have proved their capacity in difficult tests. The President said that the legislative elections were held in time, and this was a blow to those who wanted Syria to be drawn in the blood of its citizens. The President asserted that after 14 months of the crisis, things have become clear, and the plots were exposed. The imperialists changed their methods and their agents, but their plots are well known to everybody. The President pointed out that the political process was going ahead. However, terrorism was escalating, but Syria's doors would remain open to anybody who wants real reforms and truthful dialogue. When the question is a matter of patriotism, we should stand with our homeland. The President said that the armed forces gave great sacrifices to protect our homeland. They are a symbol of nationalism that protected our homeland and defended our independence and honor. The President assured that the crisis would end soon in spite of the plots of foreign agents coming from outside history. Russian President Vladimir Putin emphasized the necessity to exclude the issuance of any resolution against Syria in the UN Security Council. Putin's speech came at a joint press conference with the EU President Herman Van Rompuy and European Commission President José Manuel Barroso on the sidelines of the 29th summit between Russia and the European Union. For his part, Rompuy said that Russia and the EU agree that the plan of the UN envoy to Syria, Kofi Annan, is the best way to find a solution to the crisis in the country. China asserted that the conduct of the international community towards Syria should contribute to the reduction of tension in this country and push the peace process forward in order to preserve stability in the Middle East. The spokesman of the Chinese Foreign Ministry stressed the necessity of supporting the mediation efforts of Kofi Annan and helping the international observers to put a stop to violence from all parties in Syria as soon as possible. The spokesman pointed out that China hopes that the investigation of Al-Hula massacre would be just, fair and accurate. Security forces foiled an attempt to blow up a booby-trapped car carrying large amounts of explosives. They arrested the suicide terrorist who was driving the car in the town of Al-Rami in the Idleb countryside. A source in the governorate said the explosives were hidden in the place of a water tank and covered with stones inside the car. This was intended to create a large amount of material damage and human damages. The terrorist tried to escape after his failure, but the security forces were able to capture him. Journalists and mass media reporters of the national information institutions staged a sit-in before the office of the Journalists' Union in Al-Umayyad Square in Damascus to protest against the resolution of the Arab League to stop the transmission of the Syrian television channels through the Arabsat and the Nilesat satellites. They asserted that this resolution was an aggression on the freedom of information and speech and an attempt to block the truth. However, they considered this resolution as a medal of honor for the Syrian mass media, which proved excellent capacity in defense of Syria's sovereignty and independence. This resolution was another desperate attempt by some Arab regimes to besiege Syria. It will be confronted by all means. While the Syrian media will continue to raise the voice of truth, the resolution showed the bankruptcy of those regimes and the rejection of the freedom of opinion. It showed the failure of their war on Syria.
The decision expresses itself on the side that took it, especially after the Syrian people said what they want and realized from the very first day of the crisis and the events that took place in Syria that this is just a comprehensive conspiracy. Therefore, this decision targets the Syrian voice and its aim is to shut it up.
طبعا هو قرار يرتقي إلى مستوى الإرهاب الإعلامي.
This decision is a media tyranny, and it is one element of the conspiracy targeting Syria to shut up the voice of these Syrian channels, the righteous voice that disturbs them and disturbs the conspirators, in broadcasting the truth of what is happening in the Syrian street and that reveals their lies.
General high school examinations have started in all Syrian governorates. More than 400,000 students are admitting the exams in a calm situation. Students have affirmed that the questions were comprehensive and suitable for all levels, affirming that the exam observers were very cooperative to help students to do their best in exams. Under the title A Memory of a Nation, a historical documentation exhibition was organized by the Ladies of Goodness in Dar al-Ba'ath in Damascus. The exhibition displays Syria's history, showcasing photos and pictures of the battles fought against the French occupation, as well as documents of the conspiracies and massacres that were perpetrated against the Syrian Arab people by the French during the period of occupation. The exhibition also includes portraits of most prominent resistance men and women. The exhibition represents a message sent by the resistance men's sons to show the world that their ancestors have done. The exhibition will continue until the 17th of June 2012. In Iraq, 22 people were killed and at least 65 others were wounded in a terrorist explosion of a booby-trapped car in central Baghdad. Police sources said a suicide terrorist exploded himself in his car before an administrative department in Bab al-Muazzam. The explosion also caused heavy material damage in the buildings. The police surrounded the place and brought vehicles to carry the wounded to hospitals. Cautious calm prevailed in the quarters of Tripoli this morning following the violent clashes in the past few days. The Lebanese National Information Agency said the banks obeyed the order to close their doors as a protest against the violence, which led to the death of several victims. The markets also closed while the city witnessed slow traffic. Unknown terrorists burned a bookshop across the road leading to the Lebanese University. The dead victims in the clashes in Tripoli rose to 12, while 26 others were wounded. With this, we conclude our political bulletin for today. For more news and details about Syria and the region, you can go to our website in English, www.syriaonline.sy.